thing for you now. A lot of you know Mitzi because she is pretty darn active in the veterans community. She's the Community Resource Coordinator with the Idaho Divisions of Veterans Services. Before she was hired by that organization 4 years ago, she was very actively involved with veterans and those in crises in her position with the Boise Police Department. How come they didn't make you chief? Huh? You might want to apply now. I'm sorry. So it was at the police department under the guidance of Mike Masterson, who I believe does this paper, right? Mike, this is Mike's paper. He works on this very hard. That she became actively involved in Joining Forces for Treasure Valley Veterans. It's a coalition of organizations that come together to communicate and share resources to help all of the veterans in our valley and active duty military members too, who frequently need services. Joining Forces is still actively involved with law enforcement, but it is now coordinated through the Idaho Division of Veterans Services. So it's the goal of this service to help communities and regions across Idaho form these Joining Forces groups to ensure that every veteran and military member is taken care of where they live. So I'm going to turn this right over to this wonderful woman who's devoted so much of her life to all of you.
Good morning, Idaho veterans. Thank you for coming out today. As Sue mentioned, I'm here to talk about Joining Forces today. And it is a coalition. We don't have a bank account. We don't have a formal membership roster and things, but if you care about veterans, if you are a veteran yourself, you can be a member of Joining Forces. I have about 160 organizations that are part of Joining Forces and an email list of over 700 people. And I sent out a couple emails today. I talked about Fill the Box, and I'll mention that a little bit later. Got the word out about the Veterans Parade. So it's a resource to let you know what's going on in the veteran community. The other thing that it has developed into is a lot of times with the different organizations, they'll have a veteran that they have done everything that they can for, and they've hit a brick wall with maybe services, or maybe it's something that is just outside of veteran type services. Maybe somebody needs help moving or something like that and they can't afford that. They'll get the word out to me. I get a lot of calls from the social workers at the Boise VA Medical Center, and then I'll put the word out to 700 people and say, hey, can you help on Saturday? And a bunch of people will show up, and it takes 20 minutes to move a 3-bedroom apartment, and we got her done. So it's very exciting. Just to give you an idea, these are just some of the organizations that are a part of Joining Forces. And we work really closely with law enforcement because oftentimes when a veteran is in crisis or needs help, their first encounter is with law enforcement. So all of the law enforcement agencies in the valley work really closely with the Boise VA. I could go through all of these, but I have picked out a handful of people from these organizations to speak with you today, just to give you an idea of the services and things that are out there. And you know, it's kind of difficult sometimes to get veterans to get up and talk about themselves, but when I told them that I would let them hold the microphone, then they said, hey, if I can do that at the Warhawk, I'm there. So I'll introduce each one of them and have them come up and speak with you. The first guest I have here is Jake Faulkner. He is with the Boise VA Voluntary Services. He is on my speed dial. I talk to him on a regular basis just to help me out over at the VA. Who should I call? Who should I contact? That sort of thing. But he and Tammy Lanning do an amazing job over there. So I will let Jake tell you what they do.
Thank you, Mitzi. So I'm Jake Faulkner, United States Navy, 2003 to 2008. Can you hear me okay? I hate public speaking, but Mitzi's done everything for us, so I'm here for you, Mitzi. So she kind of covered it. We take care of all the volunteers at the Boise VA, the greatest VA in the nation. We have about 130 active. Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
130 active volunteers, always accepting applications. Since COVID, we've kind of had to cut back a lot of our operations, but we're starting to get back out there, and we always need drivers. We have Lee over there. He was a driver for a long time, excellent volunteer in the hospital. We take all the donations. Technically, by directives, we have to take the donations both monetarily and items. Tammy and I took over about four years ago, and Lee can attest, we took the office in a completely different direction. We get a lot of donations from the community, and it was just kind of sitting there. So we started the crisis fund, and out of that fund, we supply gas cards, food cards, Visa cards to help with rent, utilities, or a lot of homeless veterans in their vehicles, and their vehicles break down, and now they can't go anywhere. They're getting kicked out of the parking lot and getting towed. So we help out, and if it's too much, then I call Mitzi. Some of the other things we do, we're frontline patient advocates. I don't know if you ever had to make a complaint, but the advocates are pretty busy, so we're right up front when you walk into Building 85, so we're there as a resource. If you have any questions, if you don't know how to navigate the VA or it's the first time in the VA, we're there for you. If you have a complaint, I don't necessarily like just putting it into the system and wait for somebody else to fix it. I'm not in the military anymore. They're not going to bust my rank down for raising some flags and starting fires. And I'm a federal employee, so I can't get fired. So I've had some words with Mr. Wood and stuff, and they all respect that. I'm coming from a veteran standpoint. I'm not just complaining. If I bring it up to that level, it needs to get fixed. And then, let's see, food pantry. A couple organizations I was going to speak today, and then out there in the community, help support our food pantry, and in today's world, it's needed. We actually kept count of how many bags of food we gave out this month, and it's 77, and each bag weighs about 15 to 20 pounds. You do the math, I'm a knuckle dragger, but that's a lot of food. And we're out, so as soon as I leave here today, I'm gonna go fill multiple shopping carts with the crisis fund donations that we get and refill that pantry. Gas and food, I already touched on. Clothing, in the past, we've accepted used clothing, but that's not where I want our office to go. So I ask for new clothing, or I'll go buy new clothing. It's more about quality versus quantity. I expect everyone to hand out nice clothes that are going to work through the winter months. So best way for me to do that and meet that standard is I go out and buy it. So if you donate to the crisis fund, I'll go out and buy quality jackets that are going to stand up to weather year in, year out. Christmas sponsorship. So we identified there was a need of a lot of low-income vets that can't meet the Christmas needs of their family or themselves. It's another opportunity to buy them clothing or food vouchers, gas vouchers. We started 3 years ago. Last year we had 177 applicants, over $40,000 worth of items and donations donated to that fund. If you guys have any questions with that, you can reach me at 422-1176, or I'm right up front. You ask for Jake and Tammy and they'll direct you. If you need help or if you want to sponsor, we're really looking for sponsors this year. Normally we partner up with Cincy and some of the bigger corporations in the community, but they just haven't showed up this year. They're on a rotation, and I don't know if we're going to get skipped or not, but we need sponsors. And then veterans transportation, that was a big need. So we partner with the DAV. So the DAV drivers that bring vets to their appointments, they're all volunteers, and they're maxed out. All of them are putting in 8 to 10 hour days, and there are still needs. People get to the hospital and they can't get home, so we started Uber. And so I buy Uber cars from Walmart with the crisis fund, and we Uber 5 to 6 people a day to and from their appointments. So that's been a big help. I also use medical transportation like Victory Medical and injury care for our folks that are in wheelchairs and can't self-assist themselves in and out of Uber. And those are pricey. Those are $160 from the Boise VA to Nampa or Caldwell. Those get pretty expensive. So otherwise, they're trying to pay that out of pocket, and they don't have the funds to do it, so they're missing their appointments. They're not getting the wound care they need, their diabetic needs that they need. So we have the funds. We make it happen. So thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, it's pretty obvious why I have him on speed dial. He's dialed into anything that's happening at the the VA Medical Center, and like he mentioned, he and Tammy have really taken the Voluntary Services Department to a next level. If you need help, help is available. My next guest is Joe Bogart, and he is with the Blinded Veterans Association. Joe himself is a blinded veteran, and I deal with Joe on a lot of different groups, and when we were talking about the BVA, they have a lot of services that aren't just for veterans that are blind. It goes on out to any sight impairments, so I invited Joe to talk about that a little bit.
Thanks, Mitzi. And Jake's a tough act to follow, but kudos to all the work that he does. I'm here with the BVA. I'm going to represent at both the national level and the local GEM State Regional Group level. I am the Vice President of our local GEM State Regional Group, and like Mitzi said, we do a lot of things. You don't have to be legally blind to be a member of the BVA anymore. And I just dropped a piece of paper. That's not mine. So the BVA, the mission is to serve as ambassadors and mentors for all veterans and families coping with sight loss, and to strive to better the lives of all who have served in the armed forces living with sight loss through expert advocacy, engaged membership, clear communication, and peer-inspired self-reliance. Our BVA family epitomizes respect, honor, dedication, and commitment to sustain a thriving, informed, patriotic, and connected community. BVA is the only congressionally chartered veteran service organization created for, consisting of, and led by visually impaired veterans to focus on issues, advocacy, and mentorship vital to all veterans and families coping with sight loss regardless of service connection. What does all that mean? After World War II, a little over 100 veterans who were blinded by the war decided they needed to make sure that the rehabilitation that they received from the Army didn't go away, so they formed the BVA. From that, they advocated for and ensured the VA stood up the Blind Rehab Services section, which has since grown to 13 blind rehab service centers across the United States, including one up here at American Lakes in Washington, all the way down to one in Puerto Rico. Then you have 9 Visor clinics. They're outpatient rehabilitation clinics where people like in Houston can go in and get some blind rehab. And visual impairment services team, blind rehabilitation outpatient specialists all across the country in all the VA centers. We have those here in Boise. Travis Wilson is our VIST, and Barb, and I forgot her last name, and a couple of our guys here in BVA will probably kick me for it later, who will come to you and help you with the rehabilitation type stuff you need. Now, what does that mean? Okay, you don't have to be service connected to get support for blindness in the VA. If you are eligible for any VA benefits, and you're starting to have issues with glaucoma, you have diabetes because of exposure to Agent Orange, or just diabetes because of your family history, and you're starting to get diabetic retinopathy, you're starting to have retinitis pigmentosa, macular degeneration, you're starting to just have problems seeing normal prints, you're starting to have problems where you got glasses from your optometrist, doesn't cause you enough correction to sustain normal lifestyle function, your activities of daily living, you're struggling to take your medications because you can't see what you're taking. Blind Rehab Services can help, and that's what BVA can do. We can help get you in point of contact with Travis, our VIST here. He has over 300 people on his rolls in this state alone. And that's only a fraction of the over 100,000 across the United States enrolled in this. So everybody here who's a veteran would qualify for that. Even if you only serve peacetime National Guard, and normally you don't necessarily get a DD-214, you get an NGB-22, that's okay. There's still help for you through this system. So, what else do we do? Well, we have 4 support groups across the state every month. We have one virtually, we have one in Boise, we have one here in Nampa, and we have one over in Twin Falls. And you don't have to be a blinded veteran to come to that. You can be a veteran. You can be a blind civilian and come to it. You can be a family member of a deceased veteran who wants the support group and misses the camaraderie. You can come to those. Membership qualifications to qualify to join BVA and help us do more stuff. Basically, if you can qualify for blind rehab services, because of any of the things I mentioned before, you qualify to join the BVA. $50 is a lifetime membership. You can join us and you can be a part of it. And other things we do. We assist with claims and appeals for benefits. We have a staff across the country. We have a couple in the DC area. We have one in Arkansas, and I don't believe too much longer now we're going to start hiring someone out here on the Mountain Time or West Coast Time to help people with claims and benefits with the VA. We have a Vet Tech program, a virtual program. It happens every week. You can get on, you learn some of the new technology that's out there. Technology like smartphones that talk to you and tell you everything you need to know. Programs like technology like an Orcam device that will read the paper in front of you. It'll read the menu at McDonald's if you need it. There's a lot of neat stuff that's out there. Magnifiers that will take a picture and make it bigger, just like smartphones can. We have newsletters that are available in multiple formats, everything from CD to printed material to stuff that can email out to you that can be read to you by your own computer. We have care reviews. We go out and we check to make sure the care is proper in all those 13 blind rehab centers and 9 Visor clinics. And we testify to Congress annually to make sure the proper care is out there, the benefits are out there. One of the big fights we always have is what Jake said, transportation. There's a few of us in this room, the only way we got here is because our spouses drove us here. Something happens to our spouses. Now I have to use Uber or I have to call and try to get a DAV appointment. That's a big challenge for any of our veterans that are out there with vision loss. Well, one of the other things we do is we do a lot of activities because adaptive sports are huge. They're very big. When we can get out there, when you're blind, and I am legally blind, I see about this much of the world. Look through the OK symbol of your left eye, cover your right, that's about what I see, and it's blurry. Because, like many of you here, I am a combat vet. Iraq took my eyesight, and after a total of 28 years in the Army, I finally retired. But being able to get out and do things like run, have a guide beside me to run, allowed me to stay in shape. Having someone to stay beside me and call out what I need to do allows me to go tearing down the mountain up a bogus basin. It's kind of scary when your guide says, "You're going too slow, speed up, go faster." And that guide is your wife, who used to race on skis years ago. So her cruising speed is my top end going almost straight down the mountain. But there's activities like that. We've had blind veterans that have kayaked the Colorado River. We work with other organizations that are out there like Team River Runner, Connect Outdoors, Northwest Association of Blind Athletes, Steamboat Stars to get more adaptive stuff out there. But I've talked way too long. There's a bunch more folks you need to hear from, and I'll be back up here talking about something else here later too. But to find out more, there's a lot of information up there. You can go to the website at bva.org. That's B as in blinded, V as in veteran, A as in association.org. You can email bva@bva.org, or you can reach out to our president, Doug Owsley, president of the Gem State Regional Group. I believe I got his contact information up there. For those of you that can see, if you can't, if you got someone beside you, help let them see it. Or you can find myself or one of our members that are here. I got Randy Holloway standing over here, standing up right over here, gentlemen. And then in the back we have Bob Brodesser, one of our past vice presidents as well from our organization. So find one of us if you have more questions about having vision loss and wanting to get some help and support. Thank you very much.
I think probably all of us in this room could use those services at one time or another, and if not today, it's coming. Okay, my next guest is Craig Hoyt. He is the president of the Chapter 1025 Vietnam Veterans of America, and I have worked really closely with this group. I saw a bunch of Vietnam veterans stand up, so I hope that what he has to say will, impact you. The best thing that I have found working with Craig and the other Vietnam veterans with Chapter 1025 is their outreach to the other veterans in the community. Well, I won't give you a presentation for you. I'll let you say it all there.
No, feel free.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mitzi. And I know your parents are here, and I'm not sure if they know what a lot of us call you. Mitzi is, we refer to her as the fairy godmother of Veteran Services. So big round of applause for Mitzi. And a thank you to Sue, who happens to be my neighbor. I love these coffee clutches. These are great, and I appreciate what you do for the veterans community. So Vietnam Veterans of America, they are a national organization, but we also have chapters that work at the local level. At the national level, they are one of the loudest voices that lobbies Congress for things that we didn't have during Vietnam and shortly after. And their job has been to pave the way for those that have come after us. The thing that drew me to this organization was their motto. And that motto is, never again will one generation of veterans abandon another. And we totally believe in that. So I'm going to talk mostly about the things we do in the local chapter here in the Valley. While Vietnam veterans are first on our list to help, we help all veterans that are in need here that we can help. Some examples of some of the work we did is on the slide. We've helped with home repairs. We've helped buy new HVAC equipment for people who had to go out that were sitting in their homes freezing that could not get warm. Helping with furniture purchases, assisting with mortgage payments. Mitzi brings a lot of these to us, so we're grateful for that as well. Moving crews, we recently moved somebody who I'm sure you guys all know, Don. Don's last name is escaping me.
Me too.
Anyhow, Mitzi put out the word and probably about 25 of us showed up and we moved him into his new place in about a half an hour. It was amazing. And as I look at everybody out here, it's amazing to see so many vets out here, and being a retired Navy guy, it still amazes me how many sailors found their way to the desert out here. That still doesn't make sense to me, but I'm one of them. So another thing this chapter did was to raise funds and erect a memorial for Vietnam veterans. There are 217 men from Idaho that died in Vietnam as a result of action. And that memorial sits in Veterans Park. Like I said, there's 217 names on there. Some of them have been memorialized in movies. I encourage you to go down there and see that. Every Memorial Day we have a service down there where we read those names. Another thing that we do is we purchase holiday dinners for needy veterans and their families. We've done that for years now, and that's something that we will continue to do forever. As Jake can attest, we've donated thousands of dollars in food and gas cards to the volunteer services at the VA, and they're so good about giving these out to the right people that really need the help. As Mitzi said, we do work with other organizations around the Valley. I've listed just a few here we're very fond of these groups because of the work they do. The first being the Aaron Butler Memorial Foundation. That is a foundation that holds events during the year to memorialize Aaron Butler, who was a Green Beret that died in Afghanistan. And it's a great experience. If you haven't been to one, highly encourage you to do that. Its whole purpose is to bring the warriors and the community together, and it's a great outfit. Likewise, Mission 43. If you haven't heard about Mission 43, I encourage you to get online and look up and see what they do. Their whole job is to help veterans that are recently separated or are getting ready to separate, help them with education, with resume writing, with mock interviews. They do all kinds of work for veterans. They also do that for first responders as well. They're building a field house out in East Boise that's going to be an amazing place. It's also going to have a hyperbaric chamber in there that will help people with TBIs. Great foundation. The Idaho Women's Memorial and Veterans Garden, another great place. If you haven't been out there, I encourage you to get out there. And they could use your help. We also work with the Idaho Veterans Assistance League. They do a lot of work for the folks that are in the Idaho Veterans Home. And then last but not least, Samantha. She's the new Gowan Field Transition Assistance Officer, and we work with her as well. We're glad to partner with you as well. And, excuse me, a lot of you that stood up were Vietnam veterans. Paul Sherman sitting over there, stand up, Paul. He's our secretary-treasurer, and he has applications to join our organization. Highly encourage you to join and help us do work around the Treasure Valley. You can see him after the presentations. It costs $50 to join, and that's a lifetime thing, and we would welcome as many of you as can be. Thank you very much.
They really do help a lot of veterans across the board, and Craig and Paul are some of the first people I pick up the phone when there's a need, and I do appreciate them coming out. Okay, our next guests are Bill Fackler and Dean Hagerman. How many Idaho National Guard members do we have out here, retirees? There's some out here, okay. We're going to have Dean and Bill come up and talk about the retiree program out at Gowan Field. And again, certain segment of the veteran population that they deal with day in and day out, but we reach out to each other on a regular basis for different things, and they are a huge part of the community.
Thank you, Mitzi. I should say Mitzi's father and I were actually served in the reserves for a while too, so that's how I know her family. I'm Dean Hagerman. I retired 39 years active, Guard and Reserve, all Army. About a dozen years ago, a group of us got together and decided that we should have a way of connecting retirees, keeping them connected to the organization and with each other. And we started the Retiree Outreach Program. How we maintain connections is we have a quarterly newsletter that goes out. We also send out notices who are registered with our program about retirements, promotions, changes of command, and when we hear about it, funerals. We also hold an annual Retiree Appreciation Day event. These are held around the state. We have the chain of command comes out and gives us an organizational brief about what's going on with the Guard now, what's going on, what the future plans are for the Guard. We also occasionally are able to do tour facilities around the state, which is fun. If you've been away from the Guard for a while, what's going on, especially out in the desert, is unbelievable. It's become probably the second premier training area for the U.S. Army in the country. It's phenomenal. Each month we host a military retiree social, not just Guard guys, but if you're a retiree, we encourage you to come out to Gowan Field. There's the old Officers Club out there. We call it the Rally Point now. We have a social out there the third Wednesday of every month. And we're trying to expand that now around the state. We've got somebody who, in Bill's office, who's working on that issue. I should note too that this is not just a one-way thing. The National Guard chain of command here in Idaho sees us as a way of finding out what's going on in the community. So it's two-way communication. They appreciate our feedback, and I hear that a lot when I'm talking with General Garshak and the chain of command out there. And finally, we started this program a dozen years ago. It was Army Guard. 3 years ago, the Air Guard merged with us, and it's a joint program from both services. And I'll let the more important person talk here now.
Morning, I'm Bill Fackler. I'm the Retirement Service Officer out at Gowan Field. I was 10 years active Air Force, got out and switched services and joined the Army Guard for 16 more years and retired back in 2008. About 6 years ago, I took over the retirement services job, and it's been a true blessing for me to be able to help Guard members get their retirements, reserves. I've taken care of just about every service. Also, I can help out active duty folks or retirees with their medical benefits, TRICARE, their dental and vision issues for enrollments, and also help out with widows and widowers if their spouse passes away. And on top of that, I manage all of the National Guard records from the Air and the Army from about 2000 back till God, pretty much, for Idaho. It's a lot of records. We got about 60,000 individual records just for the Army side. So I say I'm very blessed. One little thing for you folks that are retired out there, the dental and vision open enrollment starts on the 14th of November. So if you're not enrolled in a dental plan, you're eligible, or a vision plan. It opens up on the 14th, or if you want to change plans, that'll be your opportunity to do that. If you have any of your 100% DAV folks that your spouses or family members are not enrolled in Champ VA, I can help out with that also. I do work with Mitzi a lot. I send a lot of my customers down through them. We work with the IDVS, the Idaho Division of Veteran Services, a lot with making sure our folks, if they're eligible for benefits at all, that we can get them what the benefits that they deserve. So, thank you.
I would encourage you, if you are the retired veteran with the National Guard, to enroll in their newsletter. It has a lot of information. I usually attend the retiree get-together that they have out at Gowan once a month. And it's not just the retirees that are there. Active duty folks come in. General Garshak is almost always there talking to everybody. And he really wants to know what's going on outside the gates of the base and what's going on in the community. So it's a straight shot to let them know what's going on and to keep you as retirees actively involved. Okay, I'm going to bring Joe Bogart back up. He is also going to talk to us about the Military Order of the Purple Heart. How many people in our audience are Purple Heart recipients? Okay, we've got several out there. Thank you for your service. The membership for this organization, thank goodness, has a very small pool. But they do big things in our community, and I have a very close working relationship with them, and I just thank you for everything that you guys do.
Thanks again, Mitzi. Yeah, you guys haven't heard enough from me. Apparently, when you volunteer in the Veteran Services side of things, you get tagged to do things twice. So I never learned lessons the right way. I didn't say it before, I am an Army vet, 28 years, started out in the National Guard for a few years, went active. Then after about 10 years of that, I didn't have enough getting beat up on, so I went to the dark side and got commissioned. Got wounded in 2006, lost my eyesight, earned my Purple Heart that way. And then I stayed in the Army, despite being blind. And in 2008, I went back to Iraq to combat blind, because again, I don't learn things the first time. And stayed in the Army, retired as a major in 2018. So the Military Order of the Purple Heart is both a national organization, and we have an outstanding organization here in Idaho. Our Department of Idaho and Chief Joseph Chapter 509, the mission of the Military of the Purple Heart is to foster an environment of goodwill and camaraderie among combat and wounded veterans and promote patriotism. The Idaho Department Chief Joseph Chapter 509 of the Military of the Purple Heart serves all of the beautiful state of Idaho, including Boise, Middleton, Caldwell, Star, Idaho Falls, Meridian, and more all across the state. Our goals include promoting patriotism, educating our members, and engaging them in important legislative initiatives that we work on for our members and all veterans. Most importantly, we strive to facilitate and provide all available assistance that veterans and their families may need. Like Mitzi said, we work hand in hand with her. It's not a week goes by, we're not getting an email coming to us through our department commander, Ned Barker, up there. who is sending things out to us to approve. And it's a veteran in need, or one of the other organizations needs some help with a veteran in need. And to date, for 2021, we supported veterans in need through various organizations and directly with over $23,034 of direct support. And we fundraised that ourselves by going out in the community and doing things. And I know he's here somewhere hiding because he likes to hide and make me do everything. Where's Bill Hamilton at? Where's Bill? He's hiding. Scrunching down. There he is. I thought I saw him there earlier, but he was kind of blurry to me. So there's Bill. He's our chapter and state senior vice commander, which means he doesn't have to get up here and talk, but he gets to go out and mingle with everybody. So he does a lot of great things and does a lot of fundraising out of different places, including Albertsons. But part of that money that we went to, we helped out Operation Grateful Hearts with $5,900 last year. The VA Voluntary Services, we helped them out with $2,504 last year. The Vet Center got $400. We helped the haircut fund at the Idaho Veterans Home with $500 there as well. And veteran emergency needs directly were $7,230. The previous year, in 2020, our support was totaling over $39,000. So we're out there directly helping veterans. And they're not Purple Heart recipients. It could be a Vietnam veteran who lives out in the mountains, needed some support. It could be a post 9/11 Air Force veteran who's struggling financially because he lost his job and needs some help with his rent. It could be a veteran's spouse who's struggling because he's deployed and the funds aren't quite there yet. There's a lot of different things we have helped over the years, and we're constantly doing that because it's not just about those of us who got the enemy marksmanship badge. It's about everybody we can help, our brothers and sisters who've donned the uniform, who've sweated the same sweat, bled the same blood, trudged the same ground across this country, across this world. We're there to help them. Our charter locations here is in Treasure Valley here in Boise. We meet monthly, both at the club at Spurwing or on Zoom. It's combined. We do them both. We have Zoom set up so while some of us are there in person, other folks can be across the state. I've actually been on meetings all the way back home with my family in Missouri. So even one time I was out in DC area. So it's great. We still get together, still talk, and get things going. And we don't know when those meetings are going to be. They're usually on a Saturday throughout the month. It varies. It just depends whenever they'll donate the space to us that month. It works out really good. And we announce those throughout our monthly newsletter. Qualification for membership. Here's the tough part. Those of you guys and gals who raised your hands that have received the Purple Heart, you qualify. If you haven't, you don't qualify. But you can still support us and help us with our brothers and sisters in need. To learn more or to join, you can join us through email, phone, Facebook. You can chat with myself. You can chat with Bill, who's standing up here, or sitting up here in the corner trying to hide under the table because I called him out twice now. I know he's got applications with him. He said he was going to bring them, and he's never let me down yet. Or contact information is up here on the board for our department commander, Ned Barker, who is constantly on the phone, constantly on email, constantly checking things. So that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Okay, next guest is Dave Fisher with the Idaho Veterans Network. The newspaper that Sue mentioned that we're going to be handing out as you leave today comes out twice a year. Incredible articles about Idaho veterans and things going on in Idaho. So, Dave.
Thank you, Mitzi. What a great gathering. Man, you're a sight, I tell you, all of you. I love this place because of this gathering primarily, but secondly because of the place and the aircraft around. I love all things aviation. And as an airborne Marine forward air controller, I jumped out of about everything they flew, and a few things I probably shouldn't have jumped out of. And that kind of set me on a pattern of just loving to fly and all those things. Today I build and fly radio-controlled airplanes, including warbirds, so I see stuff like this sitting around, and I'm just like, this is like a warm blanket that just comes over me when I get to this place, so I love it. Idaho Veterans Network, we are an organization that's been around for about 15 years. One of our co-founders is standing back here, Tom Obstarsik. Raise your hand, Tom. He'll be there to answer questions later. He and my former sister-in-law, Marnie Bernard, formed Idaho Veterans Network long ago. Marnie passed a year ago, and I took over as executive director of IVN, and we've been just kind of finding our way here over the past year. How does Idaho Veterans Network help veterans? Well, there are 4 things, and they're up on the screen behind me here. The first is to assist veterans through peer-to-peer interaction, crisis intervention, direct financial aid, and service and support. And then one of the key mantras that we have in our organization is when you get healthy and you get better, then go out and lift another brother and bring somebody else back to a healthier condition. So that's kind of what we try to do. We've helped many, many veterans over the past year with a lot of the things that Craig mentioned Vietnam vets help with, and also Jake. Financial aid, moving help, gas cards, all of those kinds of things that just help people keep moving to the next step and keeping the ball going down the field. And a lot of crisis intervention. A couple of our board members, Ron Bowers and Mike Hosselt. You want to stand up again, Mike? Mike, you met this morning for the first time. He's a new board member with IVN. He was one of the vets that Marnie and Tom helped years ago with some pretty significant crisis intervention, along with Ron Bowers, and both of them have now become board members of IVN and are helping other vets, and we love to see that kind of evolution. The second is to be a force multiplier by helping veterans leverage existing services and organizations best equipped to help them with their needs. I guess a great example of that is this past Friday night, we were at the Wyakin Foundation Ball, and we presented Wyakin Foundation with a check for $5,000 to put in their education fund to help make more scholarships possible for veterans at BSU and vocational training and things like that. And why did we do that? Because we don't have the apparatus in place to vet veterans and to find these opportunities and to help qualify them and so forth, but Wyakin does that really well. So as we look at all the organizations, many of whom are seated here this morning, and we look at what they do and how they do what they do, when there's best practices in place somewhere, we will leverage that relationship and help make possible some greater work for them. So we're a force multiplier in that sense that we help to enhance the effort of other folks too, so that we can accomplish more together. The third is to connect Idaho veterans through publishing this semi-annual edition of the Idaho Veterans Network News. And it's featuring a lot of stories about veterans, support organizations, military culture and experience. It's totally dedicated to Idaho's veteran community, and we intend to put a lot more stories in here in subsequent issues about you. And Sue, where are you?
He's back there.
Yeah, so we need to talk a little bit more about maybe transcribing some of these stories and publishing them with your consent in our paper so that you can read about your fellow veterans, many of whom are seated here in subsequent issues of the Veteran News. And then the fourth thing is just providing leadership and support for veteran community initiatives and events. We try to spread ourselves around to quite a few different events. We're involved in a couple of key initiatives that will be pretty significant, I think, in the months ahead as we announce them. And we're glad to be a part of those kinds of efforts on a broader coalition kind of level when we come together with other folks to look at issues that will benefit the entire veteran community. I published the number up behind me and also our website address. You can write those down if you'd like to contact us. We'll be over at the table here afterwards if you'd like to ask any questions. The last thing I'll mention is our Facebook page, which now has about 3,500 followers, many of you who are here are following that page already. It's just Idaho Veterans Network. Just search that out in Facebook. I will warn you that it is a private page. We're trying to keep the commercial side of social media out of our page. So we'll ask you a few questions to vet you, to bring you in, and we'll ask you to kind of consider that sacred space for veterans and not, not do a lot of self-promotion or commercial advertising on it. And that's a great place to find out what's going on, because a lot of our affiliate organizations and partners in lots of different things will publish their information there, and so we can make you aware of a lot of things that are happening there. So I invite you to look at that page and search it out. And thank you for your time. Mitzi, thanks for the invitation today.
Thank you. Hey, be sure to pick up a copy of that paper. You are going to love it. Got two more guests right quick. I saved them both for last because they don't like to talk very much and they'll get through this quickly. But my next guest is Marissa McCarter. And how many women veterans do we have out there today? Okay, I see quite a few hands going up. We are glad to see you. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. We don't recognize the contribution our women veterans have made to the services enough, and partly it's because they've integrated pretty seamlessly into the organizations and things. Marissa is helping me with the Idaho Women's Veterans Memorial that we are going to get up and running over in Caldwell at the Veterans Garden, and she has been recently appointed the Idaho Ambassador for the National Women's Memorial. So, Marissa.
Hi, I'm Marissa McCarter, and I am now the Idaho Ambassador for the Military Women's Memorial right there in Arlington. Thank you. As you can tell, I don't usually speak. I've actually been to many Kilroy coffee clutches and avoided having to talk. I've hid from the microphone, but I can't hide from Mitzi, so here I am. My mission as ambassador is to reach all military women in the state of Idaho and encourage them to register their service with the Her Story Project right there in Arlington. This actually really complements and supports a lot of what I've been doing with Mitzi in the past 3 years, which is veteran and women veteran outreach and support. I did serve in OIF-3 as a combat medic with the Army National Guard here in Idaho, and I struggled for about 10 years, just giving myself to say permission to say I am a veteran and to say I did serve. I found my way out in about 2019 when I went to the Idaho Veterans Garden and met Mitzi and was encouraged to share my story. That was really my turning point. Danny Pugmire out there, the Idaho Veterans Garden, is building the Idaho Women Veterans Memorial, and he took that story that I shared and actually helped shape the statue with it, which is a huge honor all in and of itself. But the biggest thing that came from that was the moment I gave myself permission to say, I am a veteran, I did serve, and I can be proud of that. So, but kind of going off of what David said, I found it very natural after I found my way out to turn right around and encourage other women veterans to find their way out. So along with Danny's help and Mitzi's help, we've encouraged women to go out there, support, be a part of the memorial out there in Caldwell. It's not just a statue. It is a mission, and there's a lot of opportunities to get involved with your community and be a part of that, part of history. But that was when I really began following Joining Forces. This is really a collaboration of efforts that I've just found the best way to arm myself with knowledge to help other veterans in need. Maybe the garden isn't going to be the place for you. Maybe you want to find a service dog. Maybe you want to have social events, physical activities. There are so many things across the state of Idaho, and the best way to do that is to arm yourself with knowledge, which is why Joining Forces is so important and such a huge asset to me now in my Women Veteran Outreach Program. This also led me to meet Norma Jager, who just had to sneak out, but I went to her and said, wouldn't it be great if we could give other women veterans the opportunities to share their stories, much in the way I was able to share mine, and be in a place where you could be supported. So If you see up there the Women Veterans Writing Project, she said, okay, I will make it happen, and she did, because that's what Norma does. She also did the So I Married the War, which you can find right back there by Tom. They're going to have another premiere at the Meridian Library on the 11th of November at 11 o'clock. So I encouraged you to see that if you have not seen it yet. But she pulled together the Women Veterans Writing Project, which is 9 free creative writing classes, to encourage all these women veterans to share their stories. So this has been an amazing adventure, to say the least. But I would like to leave you guys with this thought that there is a narrative out there of what a veteran looks like. And I've been to many events as a veteran by myself and been thanked for showing up as a spouse to support my veteran husband. And it's not mean and it's nothing bad, but it's definitely something I'd love to walk in a room and have people ask me, are you a veteran? Or just assume I'm a veteran. It would be a great thing to experience. But we absolutely cannot change that narrative if we don't make our presence known. So I encourage every woman veteran who has served to register your story with the Her Story Project. The memorial is actually celebrating their 25th year right there at the gate of Arlington. And they have big changes coming, including their display of the Her Story Project. And I really, truly, my mission is to have every Idaho military woman who has served, past and present, to register your service and be a part of that display. So if you have any questions about either the Idaho Women's Veterans Memorial, there is a brochure back there with all that information, as well as how to register your story with the Her Story Project. It is online, it is free, and I can help you through it if you need any assistance whatsoever. But we really, really need to make our presence known. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. Okay, our last guest is Dan Ashley. He's with the Boise Vet Center. And if you have not had an experience with the Boise Vet Center, it is a wonderful outreach mechanism that we have, and it's not just for Boise. Dan?
Thank you. I was told I was placed last to conduct PT exercises. So that being said, starting position. It's great to be here with you guys. I see a lot of familiar faces. I've been with the Vet Center for quite a few years. And so those of you that do know me, I do like to talk. So I'm glad to be here. Let me tell you just a little bit about the Vet Center program, because we are a unique part of the VA. But first and foremost, I'm Idahoan. I was raised in Twin Falls. Anybody from Magic Valley area? Nice, okay. So I served 22 years on the Army side of the house, both active and Guard and Reserve, and I was a Mustang. Some of the unique things I did was also jumping out of airplanes and serving as a combat engineer, blowing up stuff, and 15 months in Iraq. So I was part of OIF-2, the second wave that went in. And then I was also a TAC instructor for the Idaho Military Academy for a couple years. So it was a great career. And now working for the Vet Center, which I knew nothing about previously, I'd like to share a few things about us. First and foremost, 85% of our staff are veterans. And we speak your language. And when the Vet Center was created about 5 years after the Vietnam War, the veterans wanted a place that they could go that was a safe place to go and could speak their language. And that's what we can provide at the Vet Center. We have all branches of the service that work at a Vet Center. We have 2 vet centers here in the state, both in East Idaho, in Idaho Falls, and then here in Boise. In Boise, we're located at 2424 Bank Drive, right behind the Wells Fargo Bank and next to the Maytag washer lady, who is an icon here in Boise. Been here for over 50 years, I believe. And then we have our mobile vet center vehicle too, a big 40-foot long vehicle that we take into rural communities. And that's one of the things that's really unique about our program, is we travel into these small towns that have little to no services, and we can meet with you to discuss what your veteran needs are. The Vet Center is about 3 focused areas, and that is connection, camaraderie, and community. And we have about 15 groups that you can be a part of one or two of them, but some of them are specific to eras, and some are just general groups. And then we have a myriad of counseling therapies that we provide. And those deal with a variation of traumas experienced in the military, like PTSD, effects of TBI, and military sexual trauma, MST. Another great, unique avenue that we provide in the Vet Center program is we work with those on active duty status. So we're the only part of the VA that can do that. To get into the VA system, you have to have that DD-214 discharge to enroll. But to see the Vet Center, you can be active duty and can meet with us and get counseling services. We provide resource development, so we connect you with other organizations, such as many of these that have talked today and others, to get you connected in your community. And then we can also provide counseling not only for you, but it can extend to your spouse and family members as well. So a lot of unique things that we at a Vet Center do. We operate on a separate system, so the VA hospital does not have access to our records. And we do not share our records with active duty DOD as well. So that's why a lot of active duty people like to come and see us. But we're also here for all the veterans. And if you need a place to come and talk, whether it's just understanding your benefits a little better, wanting to improve your networking and resources, or looking for counseling or a group, come and see us. I come to this event almost every month. I try to be here every month. Feel free to come up and talk to me. And I do have a table back here too, but I would like to know a little bit more about you and what your needs are. Thank you so much.
Okay, I know Sue's given me it's time, but I just have a very quick story. It is my heartfelt belief that if you are a veteran in need, if you are a veteran spouse in need, that there is a resource out there to help you. And that doesn't mean you call us as soon as there is something. We want you to try to help yourself, but there are the resources out there available. Let me give you just a quick story. We had an Air Force widow. Her husband had served 30 years. She lived out in Mountain Home. Her well went dry. She was 6 months without water before she reached out to anybody. You don't wait 6 months, you reach out before that. She reached out to Mountain Home Air Force Base, and they were able to get her some grant funding and things through some of their channels, but she was still $4,000 short to be able to have the well drilled and to have water in her house. She reached out to Joining Forces. I put out an email to 700 people, and within 24 hours, we had these different organizations reach out and say, I'll pledge 500, I'll do this, I'll do that. We had people that went out to her home and to see if there were any other issues that she needed. She needed a ramp to her house and things like that. So if there is a need, if you know a veteran in need, there is somebody out there to help you. The organizations give me a lot of credit. I like to say, they do call me the fairy godmother of veterans, but I've just got that magic wand that I know who to point to and who to call. And they're the ones out there doing all the heavy lifting, and I do appreciate it. So come up, get to know them, sign up. Last thing as I'm walking over to Sue to release the microphone is fill the box. We are trying to send 1,000 care packages over to our soldiers with the 116th who just deployed to Syria and Kuwait and other places in the Middle East. If you want to pick up a medium-sized postage box here, go to the store, fill it up with anything that you might have wanted when you were on deployment. I took my granddaughters to Walmart the other night, and we had 6 empty boxes in the cart, and we just went around and they said, oh, let's get them Tums. They probably don't have the best food over there. Let's get them this. Let's get them a book to read. Let's buy some Dominoes. And they filled 6 boxes. Not only was it something that we were doing for our soldiers and things, but it was a very, very good conversation with the younger generation to let them know that there are people out there still serving, still protecting us, our freedoms, and they are our neighbors in our own backyard. So I encourage everybody to participate in Fill the Box. And if you have any more questions, Brian's over here and I can answer that too. So.
Thanks so much, Betsy. Wow, what a great group. Thank you all so much for being here today. What incredible information. Let's give them one more applaud, all these great people. Thanks, Mitzi. Okay, well, it's been a great day. I hope you all had a good Halloween yesterday. Eating candy, yeah? Well, I'm gonna let you go. How's that? All right, come on to our breakfast, go to the Veterans Parade, come to the breakfast on Sunday. It'll be so much fun, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful November and Thanksgiving.